Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Shorty SX and welcome to Quickscope Tips episode 6, where today I'll be teaching you and sharing a few thoughts for how to actually get your shot back as a sniper or as a quickscoper in Call of Duty. And what I mean by that is most of us at one point or another have taken a break from either sniping or the game in general. And especially for such a demanding game like Call of Duty, it's only natural that once you get back into it, be it after a few days or a week or even a few months, that your accuracy or your overall game ability is going to be a lot crappier than it was before. And especially with something like quickscoping, which regardless of whether you're the world's best quickscoper or whether you only just recently learned how to quickscope, it usually is something that people put a lot of time and patience and effort into learning in the first place. So it can be a very horrifying or daunting thought to think, wow, am I really gonna have to spend all that time to relearn everything? Like, did all that time go to waste? Or even questions like, will I ever be as good as I was before? Because it can be a very frustrating thing, and it can really mess with your mind. And I've actually been asked this question a ton of times, including just last night on Twitter. Somebody asked me like, hey Shorty, do you ever lose your shot? And if you do, how do you get it back? So I figured I'll sit down and actually give you guys some tips on this, because I've actually gone through this entire process like a billion times myself. As in, I've completely lost my shot to the point where I'm walking around and going like, whoa, this sensitivity feels super weird, to getting it back and then losing it over again, to the point where right now I've learned it's actually not that big of a deal. And hopefully I can give you guys, some tips for how to not just ease your mind, but how to handle the whole process a little bit better. So before we get into this though, let me just say a few words about the gameplay, because a few of you might be sitting there going like, so who's this Shorty guy trying to teach us how to snipe when he's like dying all over the place and, zooming in on things that aren't there? Well, this gameplay you're watching right now is special for a few reasons, the main one being that it's actually my first game with a sniper in probably over a month. Now, I've had to deal with a lot of personal things lately, which I'm not going to go into, but basically I haven't really played Call of Duty seriously in well over a month, which means I got back into this and I was horrible. To make things even worse, I had, played a few other games with different sensitivities and different controls, which normally make you, even less accustomed or even less used to Call of Duty. So when I picked it up earlier today, I was horrible. Like, not only was this, my first game, but it was also my first game on this new gamer tag, on the Gamma Shorty gamer tag. So in many ways, it was horrible. I had to sit there and I literally had to take it for the first couple of games. But this is actually my 5th game in. It's the very first game I started playing with a sniper. And don't forget, on Xbox you guys can just change your gamer tags. On PlayStation we have to just make a new one and say bye-bye to any previous unlocks. So the sniper, or the USR you're watching right now, is actually brand new, camo-less as you can see, and only has 30 kills on it, stats-wise so far. So this was literally the first game where I picked up the sniper and said, okay, I'm going to play the entire game with a sniper. And what I hope you guys will watch, and what I hope you will actually learn and maybe, see from this gameplay, is how at the very beginning I was horrible. Like, you saw that I even had to ADS or zoom in a couple of times just to get that feel of how long it actually takes you to ADS with a sniper. And it goes from pretty much, that horrible beginning to me actually winning the game and doing a lot better. And you can almost see that at the end of this game, my old accuracy is not, I'm not going to say completely back, but you can see that it's gotten a hell of a lot better. And excuse my swearing, by the way, but I'm excited. So the very first thing I'm going to say about this entire experience is that it should not bother you. As in, the more times you do it, the better you get. Well, actually, let me just start by saying that regardless of how many times you've swapped back and, adapted back into a game like Call of Duty, it will always be much, much, much easier to actually, get your old shot back than it was to learn it in the first place. And I know it may not feel like that the very first time you pick up that controller after a long break, but trust me, it is not even close. Like, it's a lot like riding a bike. You will get back into it a lot quicker than you think. And like what I said from before, the more you actually practice this swapping, the better you get at it. Now, a few years ago, I was actually very, frustrated with this whole thing, and I almost got into this point where I wouldn't even swap between Call of Duties because, something like Black Ops versus Modern Warfare were very different games, and, they had different feels when it came to the mechanics and the actual, sensitivities and so on. So the funny thing about it was that I was actually, I was fearing the idea of swapping. And at one point, once I actually got past that fear and I started going like, okay, you know what, it doesn't matter. Let me just go play a few games of Black Ops. Let me go back to Modern Warfare 3. Let me go back to Black Ops, and so on. And that entire thing actually got me a lot better at it. So what I'm saying is, instead of fearing the whole going back into a game, don't. Just go back into it, and not only will it come back a lot quicker than you probably think, but the more you do it, the better you'll get at the entire process. As you can see by now, like, in this game, like I said, I'm not saying my accuracy is back on or anything like that, but you can see the progress from just one game when it comes to a sniper. And keep in mind that just 4 games before this, I hadn't even touched Call of Duty in quite a while. So the very first tip I'm actually going to give you for how to handle this whole situation and where to start with is start with a regular gun. This is what I did in this case. Now, it's not only because it's, a new gamer tag and I had to even, get some squad points before I could even unlock the USR, but it's always a good idea to start off with a regular gun. They're a lot more forgiving. You don't have to worry about that, one-shot accuracy where if you miss, you're basically screwed and your entire score is going to go to crap, but just start with a regular gun. Now, you're not going to do much better with a regular gun either, especially if you haven't played for a long while, because at the very start, regardless of what you're doing, you're just going to have to sit there and take it for a little bit. But give it time, give it a few games, it will come back. It will come back a lot quicker. And what I did in this case is, like I said, I played exactly 4 games of free-for-all. Actually, one of them was a gun game, but doesn't matter. It's still free-for-all. The point was, I was playing something I'm comfortable with, as in a game mode like free-for-all, where I still remember most of the spawn points, or even if I don't remember the spawn points, I have a general idea for what to do, and it's a game mode I'm very comfortable with. So that is what I did. I played 4 matches with a regular gun, which just makes you get back not into, the quick scoping part of it, but more into the other aspects of the game that are important, like remembering where people come from, and making sure you're not jumping around corners too much, making sure, your sensitivity actually feels normal and you're not just sitting there going, wee! So it's very important to actually get back into that place where you can actually win a game, period, and then start with a sniper. But once you get back into a sniper, you can actually see that, at first I had to just ADS a few times, make sure your accuracy, or not your accuracy, but your feel for quick scopes, and not just, not the ADS time, but also swinging it left and right, all together with the sensitivity. Just make a few of those motions as if you're trying to scope somebody, and see if it feels natural. If it doesn't feel natural, I don't know, maybe go shoot some bots. By the way, as a side note, I did no bot training before this whatsoever. I just jumped straight into multiplayer, but that's just me these days. Of course, if you don't want to waste your stats or, whatever, then of course go with bots. I'm sure it will be even more helpful than what I'm doing right now. But the whole idea is to kind of just let your instincts take over. And of course, this is easier if you've played the game more and if you've, gotten better at quickscoping in general. But the main idea is that even if you don't have those instincts to begin with, just let yourself go a little bit. Just try to get back into that initial style that you were playing. Now, what I'm saying here is, like, for example, if you were never a great quickscoper to the point where you can just fire off a shot and it'll hit, then don't try to do that when you get back. You're not going to miraculously get better accuracy than you had before. So always just aim to be exactly where you were before. Just try to get back into that spot as easily as possible, and trust me, it will be a lot easier. As you can see, that headshot right there, like, I wouldn't have even tried to take that shot at the beginning of the game. But just because I gradually gave myself a little bit more time and a little bit more, I don't know, it's kind of like confidence building. You start off and you're not really sure about what's going on, but as you progress, you realize, okay, I'm actually hitting that shot, push it a little bit more, and then all of a sudden you can see that your accuracy or whatever you were shooting for is back to normal, and it's not that big a deal. So hopefully this video helped you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions or if I didn't cover anything well enough, and I will catch you next time.